Chapter 11. The Need for Avatars. Rama, Krishna, the epics, Shiva, and the Goddess. This presentation covers the years from about 1000 to 500 BCE. Written and produced by Thomas Tyseal. Copyright Thomas Tyseal unless otherwise noted. The problem with Brahman. In Chapter 10, we learned the Hindu word for the unknowable, transcendent source of all, Brahman. This transcendent reality, Brahman, needs nothing and nothing can be added to it. Sacrifices and prayers cannot reach Brahman. It turns out that for many Hindus, Brahman was just too remote. Here's how they solved it. While subordinate to Indra in the Rig Veda, the earliest Hindu scripture, Vishnu is mentioned often and is the perfect candidate for a more accessible supreme god. Followers of Vishnu are called Vaishnavites. Of Vishnu, the Rig Veda says, "The wise contemplate his supreme station. He is glorified by his own vigor. He is the ancient, the creator, the recent, the self-born, the all-embracing and all-knowing." He is perhaps most famous for having taken 3 strides with which he measured the entire universe. "Earnestly I glorify the exploits of Vishnu, who made the 3 worlds, heaven, earth, and air, who sustained the lofty aggregate sight of the spheres, thrice traversing the whole, who is praised by the exalted." The story that eventually evolved in the Vishnu Purana, a collection of scriptures discussed in a later chapter, has it that at the end of the last cosmic cycle, with nothing to preserve, Vishnu the preserver rested alone on his serpent Naga couch. From his navel a lotus bloomed, representing the eternal dharma, spiritual law, and flowered into Brahma, who began again the act of creation. Vishnu is often portrayed as coming to earth on the wings of the bird Garuda. Beginning around the same time as the Upanishads were being revealed, somewhere between 700 and 500 BCE, about the same time as Confucius and Lao Tzu lived, and around the same time that the prophet Jeremiah was prophesying that God was going to use Babylon to punish Judah for being disobedient, stories began to circulate in India around a new set of godlike figures who were not prominent or mentioned in the Rig Veda. Chief among these were Rama and Krishna, of likely but hard to establish historicity. Eventually, Rama and Krishna became known as avatars, that is, incarnations of Vishnu. That's an important development in Hinduism. God was becoming known by appearances in history. The literature associated with the ministry of Rama and Krishna, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, and more particularly the Bhagavad-Gita, while not considered primary Hindu scriptures, contained the stories and lessons most Hindus know best. About 500 BCE, plus or minus 300 years, the stories that were circulating about Rama, Ram in Hindi, began to coalesce. Rama was the eldest son of Dasartha, king of Kosala, who ruled from the city of Ayodhya, 400 miles southeast of New Delhi. These stories were gathered and written down by Valmiki, the purported author of the Ramayana, which is considered secondary scripture, Smriti in Hinduism. The Valmiki Ramayana stretches some 1,960 pages in the version available through Project Gutenberg. The Ramayana tells the story of how Vishnu became partially incarnate in Rama to save humanity from the evil demon Ravana. Vishnu's incarnation was partial in Rama, as it was shared among the 4 sons of Dasaratha. In the epic, Rama was taught by the great sage Vishvamitra and won the right to wed King Janaka's daughter Sita by the miraculous feat of breaking Shiva's bow. Deprived on the king's deathbed of his desire to have Rama succeed him, Rama's cunning stepmother demanded the king fulfill his earlier promise to grant her a wish, which she chose as placing her own son on the throne. With both the king and Rama caught in her snares, Rama accepted without hesitation his fate, and with his wife Sita and brother Lakshmana went into seclusion in the forest. There the demon Ravana kidnapped Sita, taking her captive to his kingdom Lanka, present-day Sri Lanka. With the aid of Sugriva, the monkey king, and his general Hanuman, Rama and his brother Lakshmana set out to rescue Sita. Almost 2,000 years later, Hanuman became the inspiration for the monkey king, Sun Wukong, in the 16th century Chinese classic Journey to the West. Eventually, Rama confronted and killed Ravana. Sita was rescued, and after 14 years in exile, Rama, Sita, and Lakshmana could return to Ayodhya, an event that is celebrated each year as the colorful festival of Diwali. Sita's fidelity, however, was suspect by the people of Ayodhya, and she was exiled back to the forest. There she was befriended by Valmiki, the reputed author of the Ramayana. At his hermitage, she gave birth to Rama's 2 sons. When the sons were grown, they were allowed to return to Ayodhya, but the people did not accept Sita, and in Valmiki's version, she plunged to her death in Mother Earth. The Ramayana focuses on the growing godlike character of Rama, who by following reason, doing only right actions, and perfecting virtues, became the model of dharma, righteousness. The Ramayana also provides a description of a spiritual leader. Because this is one of the most complete descriptions of a true leader ever written, I'll quote it at length. It begins, unequaled in beauty, brave and chivalrous, never speaking ill of others, Rama inherited the virtues of his illustrious father. Of a cheerful disposition, speaking soft words to all, never returning a harsh answer when treated with contumely. When injured, pardoning the offender and remembering the offense no more, showing gratitude for the least of favors and devoting his leisure from affairs of state to seeking the friendship of those eminent in wisdom, learning, age, and conduct. Wise and generous, he was foremost in addressing others, speaking with affection. Supremely courageous, yet not rendered vainglorious by his own powers. Never uttering falsehood, honoring the learned and the aged, showing regard for his people who were devoted to him. Having overcome wrath, surpassingly compassionate, venerating the Brahmins, showing extreme pity for the poor, well versed in public and individual responsibilities, fulfilling his domestic duties not only to add luster to the dynasty, but also to attain an exalted state in the other world. The verses continue. Wise in the discharge of his obligation, as a scion of the house of Ikshvaku, a famous dynasty, proving himself tender and loving to those who sought his protection, restraining the evildoer, ever seeking the weal of his subjects. eschewing frivolous pursuits and shallow talk, neither hearing nor speaking aught against dharma. In debate, equal in eloquence to Brihaspati, a teacher of the gods. Free from infirmities, youthful, handsome, having knowledge of time and space, and being able to divine the contents of a man's heart at a single glance. Verily a great sage, and for his marvelous qualities, as dear to the people as life itself. Profoundly learned in the science and the philosophy of the Veda, which he had studied with his spiritual preceptor, he even excelled his father in the art of warfare. The repository of all auspiciousness, virtuous, cheerful, truthful, and guileless. Having received full instruction from the learned Brahman in sacred and secular policy, knowing the significance of virtue, material prosperity and enjoyment, of prodigious memory, conversant with worldly wisdom, possessing a pleasing disposition, gentle, able to conceal his thoughts. I'll conclude with these last verses. Recognizing when to refuse and when to accept material gifts. Winning many friends, firm in his devotion to his guru and to God, countenancing no sin. Never uttering a bitter word or one which would agitate the hearts of others. Energetic, deploring his own faults, whilst excusing those of others. A great advocate, grateful, lending support to those he held in affection, in all circumstances true to his word, capable of protecting the interest of his family and friends, knowing how to mete out retribution to the wicked. Acquiring wealth by just means and appreciating how to distribute it with discrimination. Proficient in the Veda, following the literary and dramatic arts with enthusiasm, endowed with the gift of oratory and Sanskrita and his own native tongue, depending on right alone for felicity and prosperity. Prudent, accomplished in sport, music, and painting. Wow. When Rama's father wanted to place Rama on the throne, the citizens of Ayodhya proclaimed, Rama, who has seen the totality of the world, is going to become our protector for long. We have all been blessed by King Darasartha, Rama's father. Rama is modest, knowledgeable, and righteous. He is as compassionate to us as to his brothers. Rama the virtuous had compassion towards all the four classes of men and towards the aged people, hence they were all devoted to him. Above all, a sovereign should manifest probity, benevolence, his chief duty being to uphold truth. Truth is verily the kingdom. By truth is the world supported. O Rama, you must slay this wicked and impious demon Taraka, who ravages the land. For the good of Brahmins and the king, O Raghava, Rama, accomplish this. Do not hesitate to destroy this vile Yakshini, a female nature spirit. It is the duty of a warrior to protect those of the four castes. A prince must not eschew deeds that are painful and difficult for the preservation of his people. It is according to the law of eternal dharma, O Rama, that even deeds that appear ruthless are permitted to those appointed to protect their subjects. O Raghava, Taraka is wholly evil and therefore must be destroyed. The Ramayana also reveals the extreme importance of following spiritual law, dharma. Consider this verse in rhyme. In kingless lands no law is known, and none may call his wealth his own. Each preys on each from hour to hour, as fish the weaker fish devour. Then fearless atheists overleap the bounds of right the godly keep, and when no royal powers restrain, preeminence and lordship gain. As in the frame of man the eye keeps watch and ward, a careful spy, the monarch in his wide domains protects the truth, the right maintains. He is the right, the truth is he, their hopes in him the well-born see. On him his people's lives depend, mother is he and sire and friend. The Ramayana also explains the spiritual fate of all tyrants. Rama, the great resplendent, spoke these words forbiddingly, albeit softly, to Kara, a man-eating, malevolent being who lost his chariot but stayed his course, wielding a mace. Rama said, "Although you hold sway over a gigantic force abounding with elephants, horses, and chariots, you have perpetrated heinous deeds in Dandaka forest that are loathsome to all the worlds, that is unseemliest to this soldiery. One who causes suffering to living beings, besides being a transgressor and completely ruthless, he does not stand up for himself. He will not stand, even if he were to be the Lord of all three worlds, heaven, earth, and what's in between. All people will eliminate him. O Nightwalker, who is imperious and an infringer of worldly routine, as they would eradicate a vicious serpent in the event of its running across them. He who goes on performing evil selfishly, obsessively, heedlessly, more so delightedly, he will see the results of his own doings like red-tailed lizard on its eating self-destructive hailstones, obsessively and delightedly. Even if they attain to sovereignty, the wicked engaged in cruel deeds, condemned by all men, do not enjoy it long, but fall like trees whose roots have been severed. O dweller in the darkness, as in its proper season the tree puts forth its flowers, so in the course of time evil actions produce bitter fruit. O ranger of the night, I have come, at the command of the king, to kill those who perpetrate horribly sinful acts, and also those who wish harm to the people of the world. In describing Rama's actions, the Ramayana also makes plain our obligation to help the poor. Obeying the commands of Prince Rama, Sri Lakshmana, his brother, offered hospitality to the Brahmins. Like Kuvera, god of wealth, he gave to every Brahmin abundant wealth as instructed by his brother. Then Sri Rama, seeing his servant standing near him weeping, bestowed on them sufficient wealth for their entire lives and said, "Until I return from the forest, keep watch on the palace belonging to Sri Lakshmana and myself." Then all wept, overcome at the thought of his departure, and Rama, turning to his treasurer, said, "Bring hither my wealth." And they heaped quantities of gold and silver before him, wonderful to behold. Then Rama, with the aid of Lakshmana, distributed it among the aged, the sick, and the needy. Rama speaks, "By truth and holy vows I swear, these people whom thou seest here gathered for his coronation shall all, O Bharat, younger brother of Rama, surely share my tender love and father's the king's care. Their interest and their wants to heed, by righteousness my people lead. Thus alone, O best of men, our love may win and theirs again. My people are my children dear, protected by a father's fear. In their delight the heart finds rest." And here the Ramayana reveals some of the most important truths and advice ever given. One's conduct itself explains whether one belongs to a good family or a bad family, valiant or arrogant, and chaste or unchaste. What sensible man able to discern what is just and what is unjust in this world would respect me, Rama, if I am ignoble, resembling as noble, bereft of honesty, impure, having no good qualities, but appearing like the one having good qualities, ill-behaved, but appearing as well-behaved, abandoning righteousness and getting hold of unrighteousness in the guise of piety, creating confusion in the world, and disregarding rules of conduct. If I behave in this manner faithlessly, to whom can I advise a prescribed conduct? How would I attain heaven? A superior being does not render evil for evil. This is a maxim one should observe. The ornament of virtuous persons is their conduct. One should never harm the wicked, or the good, or even criminals meriting death. A noble soul will ever exercise compassion, even towards those who enjoy injuring others, or those of cruel deeds when they are actually committing them, who is without fault. The gods and sages esteem truth as the highest principle. He who utters truth attains the supreme state. Men fear a liar as they do a venomous serpent. Truth is the root of all felicity, and the support not only of this world, but the best means of attaining heaven. The Ramayana also provides very practical advice. He, Hanuman, shown it right with Rama and Sita in his heart, alone has the capability to accomplish this task, since he has wisdom, courage, enthusiasm, and capacity to put strenuous effort. Enthusiasm has great strength. There is no greater strength than enthusiasm. There is nothing which is not attainable in this world for the enthusiastic. In whom the four qualities of courage, vision, intellect, and skill reside, they will achieve their mission and not get lost. And here the Ramayana explains the great law of karma. Whatever man does, be it good or evil, he gathers the fruit thereof. He is deemed ignorant who does not consider the merit or demerit of his actions before performing them. He who, enjoying the red flowers of the palasa tree, cuts down the adjoining mango tree, and yet desires to partake of mangoes, will not realize his expectation when the palasa bears fruit. He who, heedless of the consequences, enters into action, will in the end repent like the man who waters the palasa tree. The result of arrogant action cannot be seen right away. It takes time, just as it takes time for a crop to ripen. Only such an action which is righteous is to be initiated, leaving that in which wealth, desire, and righteousness do not come together. One who is interested in wealth alone becomes indeed fit to be hated in the world. So also the one whose very essence is desire cannot indeed be considered good. Then here the Ramayana guides us in how to choose friends. Even without committing any sin, those who are pure get destroyed when keeping company with the sinners, just like fish in a lake with serpents. Finally, the Ramayana tells us of the reward that awaits those who are true to Rama and his teachings. High bliss awaits the devotee who clings in loving faith to thee, Rama, who celebrates with solemn praise the Lord of ne'er beginning days on earth below, in heaven above. Great joy shall crown his faith and love, and he who loves the tale divine, which tells each glorious deed of thine, through life's fair course, shall never know the fierce assault of pain and woe. We must now consider a passage in Valmiki's Ramayana that causes us to wonder if Rama was a god or a man. Rama thus began, I deem myself a mortal man. Of old Ikshvaku's line, I spring from Dasaratha, his father, Kosal's king. He ceased, and Brahma's self replied, O cast the idle thought aside. Thou art the Lord Narayan, a form of Vishnu and the source of all things, the eternal, the unchangeable. Thou the God to whom all creatures bow. Thou art the Savior God, who wore of old the semblance of a boar, a previous incarnation of Vishnu. Thou he whose discus overthrows all present, past, and future foes. Thou Brahma, that whose days extend without beginning, growth, or end. The God who bears the bow of horn, whom 4 majestic arms, the sign of a god, adorn. Thou art the God who rules the sense and always sways with gentle influence. Thou all-pervading Vishnu Lord, who wears the ever-conquering sword. Thou art the guide who leads aright, thou Krishna of unequaled might. Thy hand, O Lord, the hills and plains, and earth with all her life sustains. Thou wilt appear in serpent form, when sinks the earth in fire and storm, when the earth is to be destroyed, so that it can be reborn. Queen Sita of the lovely brows is Lakshmi, wife of Vishnu, thy celestial spouse. To free the worlds from Ravana the demon, thou wouldst take the form thou wearest now. Rejoice, the mighty task is done. Rejoice, thou great and glorious one. The tyrant slain, thy labors end. Triumphant now, to heaven ascend. It's time now to meet another avatar of Vishnu, Krishna. Based on a passage in the Vishnu Purana, which states that Krishna died at the beginning of the Kali Yuga, traditionally dated to 3102 BCE, and adding the 125 years that Krishna is said to have lived, gives Krishna a birth date of 3227 BCE. The Vishnu Purana, however, is not a primary source, and scholars believe it was written somewhere between 400 to 900 of the Common Era. Others disagree on the date of the beginning of the Kali Yuga. Sri Yuksavar, who lived from 1855 to 1936, a Vedic astrologer, believed that the Kali Yuga started in 700 BCE. That places the birth of Krishna about 800 BCE, a difference of over 2,000 years from the traditional date. There are also earlier sources than the Vishnu Purana that support dates for Krishna much closer to us than 3000 BCE. The Chandogya Upanishad, written about 700 BCE, mentions both Krishna and characters found in the Mahabharata, where Krishna plays a major role. The Mahabharata tells the story of a war, the Kurukshetra War, between the Kurus and Pandavas. Using the Mahabharata as a guide, scholars think that Krishna must have lived sometime around 1000 BCE, as the Kuru kingdom flourished roughly between 1200 to 800 BCE. Several archaeological sites with painted grayware found in locations mentioned in the Mahabharata date from about 950 BCE, and thus support dates for Krishna around 1000 BCE. There's also references from Megasthenes, a Greek ambassador to the Mauryan Empire who lived around 300 BCE, who reported that the Surasinoi people worshipped Herakles from Metora. Given the difficulty of hearing and rendering Sanskrit into Greek, scholars believe that Herakles here is actually Hari Krishna, likely expressed as Hari Kulisha, Hari the Supreme Controller. Note that Krishna was from the Surasenas people, which Megasthenes rendered as Surasinoi, and he was born in Mathura, which the Greek rendered as Mitora. Thus, Krishna worship is clearly older than 300 BCE and can support a date of about 1000 BCE. While the historicity of Krishna seems firmly established, the dates of his life are still very much debated, with estimates ranging from 3000 to 1000 BCE. The Mahabharata and the Ramayana are the two great ancient epics venerated by Hindus, and both are considered secondary scriptures, smriti, to the Vedas. The Mahabharata is voluminous, about 5,000 pages, and several times larger than the already larger Ramayana. The Mahabharata, the Great Bharat, that is, India, tells the story of the Kurukshetra war, the battle over succession between the Kauravas and the Pandavas. In the process, it identified important Hindu concepts such as the four aims of human life: righteousness, dharma, prosperity, artha, love, kama, and liberation from self, moksha. It also embeds in its complicated narrative many standalone stories of famous characters from Hindu history, such as kings, princes, princesses, and sages. As mentioned earlier, numerous scholars suggest that the Kurukshetra war may have occurred around 1000 BCE, but again, definitive dates are unknown. Scholars vary in when they think the core of the Mahabharata was composed. Estimates range from about 500 BCE to 300 BCE. Portions were added and the whole edited all the way till 400 of our Common Era. The Mahabharata contains the Bhagavad-Gita, the Song of God, a dialogue between Prince Arjuna of the Pandavas and Krishna, the eighth or ninth, depending on the branch of Vaishnavism, avatar of Vishnu, who served as Arjuna's charioteer. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna counsels Arjuna on his duty as a member of the warrior caste and teaches him about spiritual reality and the path to salvation. The Bhagavad Gita is the most well-known of the Hindu scriptures, considered by some Shruti, sacred text revealed by divine seers, and by most others as Smriti, that which is remembered by ordinary humans but is still considered sacred. While the Ramayana seems to portray Rama as a man who becomes a god, the Bhagavad Gita presents Krishna as a full-fledged incarnation of God. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna declares, "I am the Father of this universe, and even the source of the Father. I am the mother of this universe, and the creator of all. I am the highest to be known, the path of purification, the holy Om, the three Vedas. Although I am unborn, and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all sentient beings, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself in order to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. I advent myself millennium after millennium. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas am I to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Here Krishna preaches the way to salvation. I am the way, and the master who watches in silence, thy friend and thy shelter and thy abode of peace. I am the beginning and the middle and the end of all things, their seed of eternity, their treasure supreme. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. But ignorant and faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness. For the doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next. However men try to reach me, I return their love with my love. Whatever path they may travel, it leads to me in the end. And here Krishna explains the 4 yokes or union methods which lead to God. If you cannot take this devotional practice, intense love and devotion to a personal deity, bhakti yoga, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge, jnana yoga. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, raja yoga. And better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action, karma yoga. For by such renunciation one can attain peace of mind. One who is not envious, but who is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor, who is free from false ego and equal both in happiness and distress, who is always satisfied and engaged in devotional service with determination, and whose mind and intelligence are in agreement with me, he is very dear to me. Both renunciation and the yoga of action lead to the supreme good, but of these two, performance of action, karma yoga, is superior to the renunciation of action. Here Krishna explains how to do one's duty. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme God, is not affected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. The yogis, abandoning attachment, act with body, mind, intelligence, and even with the senses only for the purpose of purification. The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me, whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled. And here Krishna explains immortality and reincarnation. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body, from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Avatars like Rama and Krishna reveal God's active role in shaping history and in educating humanity. Even though they are called gods in India, in the Western sense they are not God but agents of God. The Western God in the Hindu sense is Brahman, but just as in the West, where God makes his presence known in history through his prophets and chosen ones, in India these agents would be called avatars. An obvious parallel can be drawn between Rama and Moses, both lawgivers, and Krishna and Jesus, both serving as incarnations of God. Though their cultures are vastly different, East and West have both undergone similar processes of spiritual evolution. While their paths may have wandered in interesting ways and been subjected to different historical forces, they both have advanced the understanding that there is one moral code and one set of messengers who manifest God in an essential way. Introduction to Shaivism. Just as some Hindus choose to focus on Vishnu rather than Brahman, others focus on Rudra/Shiva. In the Rig Veda, the god Rudra, whose name means roar, is a fierce destroyer or lord of heroes. He is the father of the Maruts, a group of storm gods, the remover of difficulties, the mightiest of the mighty, the wielder of thunderbolts, the chief physician, the provider of medicinal plants, the dispenser of joy and dispeller of sins. He is strong and vigorous, can assume many forms, is the supreme ruler and lord of this world. He is fierce like a wild beast and a destroyer of enemies. In the Yajurveda, written after the Rig Veda, he's spoken of as the inner self of all and the soul of creatures. In the Atharva Veda, also post Rig Veda, he is the archer with 1,000 eyes. In the Svetasvatara Upanishad, written later still, he is present at the creation of the golden womb from which all was created, is the ruler of all gods, the creator of all, and the protector of time in this world, the Lord of all, hidden in all beings, in whom are united the gods and knowers of Brahman alike. Over time, the characteristics associated with Rudra gradually became associated with the god Shiva. In modern Hinduism, the names Rudra and Shiva are used interchangeably. The name Shiva means kind. It only appears in the Rig Veda as an adjective, not the name of a god. Followers of Shiva are called Shivites, and they view Shiva as the ever-present Supreme Lord who creates, protects, and transforms the universe. As such, he neither comes nor goes, but always is. He does not need avatars and is viewed as self-created. Shiva is often recognized by the trident, the Trishula he carries, which has come to symbolize many different trinities, past, present, and future, body, mind, and Atman, man, woman, and divinity, will, action, and knowledge, creation, preservation, and destruction, and many others. He is also often portrayed with the crescent moon, often in his hair, which symbolizes the cycles of nature. He usually holds a small drum, damaru in Sanskrit, udakai in Tamil, symbolizing the sacred sound of the universe's creative power. A snake is usually wrapped around him, symbolizing the energy, kundalini, which he controls. He has a third eye, which sees beyond the physical and illusion. His vehicle, Vahana, is the bull Nandi, and he is also worshipped in the form of a cylindrical phallic object, a lingam, often embedded in a female dish, Yoni, as he is also viewed as the god of fertility. Shiva is often shown as Nataraja. Nata means act, drama, or dance, and Raja means king or lord. Shiva's form of dance is gentle when creating and vigorous when either in ecstasy or destroying. Nataraja stands on a demon which symbolizes spiritual ignorance and is surrounded by flames, destroying to create anew. He usually has 4 arms or sometimes 10, indicating he is a god. In his left back hand he holds the fire of destruction, Agni. His left front hand points toward his raised foot, signifying upliftment. His right back hand holds the drum whose sounds create and regulate the universe, and his right front hand displays the hand gesture, mudra, for fearlessness, the abhaya. Snakes are coiled around his arms and legs, symbolizing his power over them, and also the rising power, kundalini, he controls. In modern times, in typical, generous, inclusive Hindu fashion, many Hindus have adopted the understanding that the one God, Brahman, has 3 functions: creating, preserving, and destroying, each of which is personified in the form of 3 gods, with a small g, if you will, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, thus unifying most branches of Hinduism under one God with a capital G, all advancing the same moral code. This is spiritual evolution. It's only natural that the great trinity of Hindu gods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, has a female counterpart needed to restore balance. That is Maha Devi, the great mother of all shown here. Maha Devi incorporates all previous female deities, such as Durga, Lakshmi, Parvati, and Saraswati. Having met Rama and Krishna and reviewed some of their wondrous spiritual truths in the Hindu epics, and having introduced the constant creative and destructive energies of Shiva, who does not need avatars, and having seen the genius of Hindus in merging Brahman, Vishnu, and Shiva and meeting Mahadevi, we must now take a look at an Indian alternative to Hinduism, Jainism.